Chapter 10 Sleeping Beauty. Luz pouts once Amity fully evaporates. At this point, she isn't sure what's worse, being left behind for what feels like an eternity, or the dread of waiting to see the green-haired goddess. She calls for King, but there's no sign of him in the barren hellscape. The teen looks at the edge of the light. She notices the light is moving away from the line she drew in the ground. What the? Luz quickly scrambles to the boundary and watches the light grow brighter, eating away at the gray world. She follows the boundary until it stops. She turns to see the benches far behind her, still with nothing in sight. Not a door or a portal to escape through. Luz holds up her hand to the force field. She hesitates for a moment, but reluctantly presses her hand against it. Her eyes become the size of dinner plates as the tips of her fingers push through. She feels a strong resistance, like she's pressing through molasses. That's it. The desperate teen keeps pushing until her wrist is firmly planted inside the light.
Amity, can you hear me?
Luz desperately shouts into the abyss. The rainbow-wearing teen pulls on her wrist, but is stuck just outside the light. She panics as she yanks harder to free her hand.
Did you think you could escape so easily?
Huh? Who? Luz is interrupted by a force flinging her onto the bench. She gasps, clutching her side.
Ow, fuck!
Feeling pain for the first time since coming to Sleepy Vale. The teen watches in horror as the darkness devours the light until it's a tight circle around the bench and the streetlight. Luz's mind is urging her body to move, but it won't budge. She can feel burning pain surging through the left side of her body. Luz's head snaps to the noise, to see a creature she can only describe as an undead lynch. Its red eyes lock onto her, and it unhinges its jaw. She opens her mouth to scream, but nothing comes out. Ida nervously wrings her hands in her lap, after already popping her knuckles several times. She's been trying to come up with a plan to explain the situation to Camilla, but everything she's come up with has been scrapped with a frustrated groan. Ida's thoughts come to a halt when she hears quiet gurgling. She scrambles out of her chair and examines Luz for any changes. The elder notices the corner of Luz's mouth twitching, but it's not enough to call Camilla or a doctor to check on her. Come on, kid, wake up. Ida rubs her forehead and paces in front of the window. Every so often, she will look out. A soft tap on the sliding door pulls the worried woman away from her thoughts. It's her loving girlfriend. Ida checks her phone for the time. Camilla just finished her shift and is ready to go home to receive her promised foot massage. The gray-haired woman glances over at the sleeping teen. She doesn't want to leave her, especially with that sickly aura lingering around. Ida sighs. She has the difficult task of explaining not only the world of magic, but the possibility of Luz being a magic user. She glances down at her phone and opens the newest contact she added hours ago. As promised, she sends the picture of the two sleeping together. Bert Mom, don't say I never did anything nice for you. Bert Mom, I'm going to tell Cam the truth. Plague Poker. Rip, I'll see you in the next life. Bert Mom, thanks, I knew I could count on you. Bert Mom, maybe you change your name before you get Cam's number. Plague Poker has changed your name to Calamity Amity. Ida approves of the new screw name for the youngest Blight with a small chuckle. She has a gut feeling she will be good for Luz. Later, the two women are on the sofa watching old home videos from when Luz was a baby. Once they got the news their little ball of sunshine wasn't going to be coming home, Camilla would play the grainy VHS tapes. Despite the depression floating around in the house, the two women are enjoying each other's company. Well, more Camilla enjoying her foot rub after a 10-hour shift. Ida, did you know who that little girl was? The one that visited Luz? Camilla is the first to break the comfortable silence. She seems familiar, but I'm not sure. The security consultant shrugs, somewhat reluctant to have the conversation. So, remember that girl that used to bully me in high school? Camilla perks up, not liking where this conversation is going. Ida only spoke about the incident once, when the question of where she went to school came up, and Camilla's heart clenched when Ida explained she dropped out to help her family shop. Ida cracks her knuckles. Well, that was her daughter. So, funny story. The woman starts to sweat. They own that magical shop. The one you don't want Luce hanging out at? Camilla feels a twinge of guilt for not letting Luce visit that shop. I just didn't want her to sink further into her own fantasies. Am I a bad mother? She pauses. Was she going behind my back this whole time? Ida awkwardly pushes her girlfriend's legs off of her lap and wraps her arms around the heartbroken woman. The world-class owl tamer only has one weakness: seeing the bright and bubbly nurse weep. No, you're not a bad mother. You care about the kid. Everything you do is to help her. Ida pats Camilla's back in an attempt to calm down the woman. I'm a bad girlfriend, Cam. I haven't been honest with you. The nurse peels off her lover and narrows her eyes. What did you do? I didn't do anything this time, I think. Ida shakes her head. That magic shop you don't want Luce visiting? It's the real deal. Camilla wasn't born yesterday. She scoffs. Stop it. We both know magic isn't real. Just as she suspected. Ida enacts Plan B by drawing a circle in air and whistles. Out of the small portal, Albert flies out and takes perch on Ida's wild gray hair. Camilla stares wide-eyed at the two. Ta-da! On the other side of town, Odalia closes the old leather book in her hands after exhausting every spell in her grandmother's book. Looking at the line of tarot cards in the center of the table tells her nothing has changed since Belos has taken hold of Amity's fate. How many of the cards have you completed? Amity pushes forward the Princess of Spring card. I'm not hiding who I am anymore. Mom, I'm gay. Odalia smiles her sweet, unnerving smile. I know, sweetheart, and I'm proud of you. The medium rubs her temples. This whole time she's been worried about how her family would react, but it looks like she's the last to find out. How'd you know? The all-knowing woman smirks. I looked up the patient you visited while waiting your return. But you can learn not to stare at our female customers so intensely. Amity's face is as red as a tomato, but she pushes the two cards forward. The moon and the stars. My dreams aren't dreams. I'm somehow teleporting into another world where Luce is. She's the reason why I can't sleep. Odalia nods. Her fate was tampered by Belos, much like yours. Though, it seems her altered fate brought the two of you together. The two stare at the new card, the one replacing the wheel. Death. The card proudly declares that a life-altering change is coming Amity's way. One of break or loss that can't be prevented. I can do 1,000,000 more readings. Shuffle the cards however you want. You will keep getting the same cards in the same order. Odalia tries to comfort her daughter. The youngest Blight checks her phone, ignoring the messages from Basha, and opens up the one from Ida. She stares at the picture of her and Luce and types back a quick reply. She's going back to the hospital to wake up Luce, even if it means changing another card for a worse. Nope, Amity refuses to keep the death card in her life. She will fight for Luce. Amity thanks her mother for the ride to the hospital. She assures her on the drive over that she'll be fine on her own. The medium takes a deep breath and opens a sliding door to Luce's room. One quick glance around the room tells her nothing has changed in the hours that she was gone, though the painful prickling on her skin returns, alerting her to a demon nearby, but unseen. Amity stands on the uninjured side of Luce and watches her chest as it rises and falls with the assistance of machines. She looks like a Disney princess waiting for someone to wake her up. Idiot, you don't even have a plan. The blight face palms. In her rush, she forgot the most important detail, having a plan to wake up the sleeping teen. She racks her brain for any ideas, but her mind keeps floating back to true love's kiss is the cure to Luce's condition. She strains her hearing for any indication of a nurse coming to check on the coma victim, but she hears nothing but her own thundering pulse. Amity leans down and kisses Luce. And nothing happened. The medium blushes and falls into the chair behind her, grateful it was there to catch her. Oh shit, I'm so going to jail for violating her. Why did I think that was going to work? She nervously wrings her hands together, trying to come up with another plan. One that's more reasonable. Maybe if No, that won't work. Damn it, Luce, you need to wake up. Amity stands by her friend's side and takes her hand, trying to force herself back to Sleepy Vale. Once again, she feels her body's being held down by heavy chains, not allowing her to completely part with her body like when she's asleep. The medium is transported to Sleepy Vale, but this isn't the version she's become accustomed to. The gray mist is darker somehow, and the light of the street lamp is dimmer, only covering the bench in color. On the bench is Luce writhing in pain. She screams out, but her voice is lost to the void. Amity wants to do something, anything, but in this form, she's stuck as a spectator. Luce! Wake up, I'm right here! The youngest blight panics, not knowing if this is the power of the death card at work. Amity takes a deep breath and opens her eyes back to the hospital room. She sees Luce's right hand twitch. She knows she must accomplish the impossible by trying to fall asleep. It's like telling a person with depression to smile until they feel better. But like a person with manic depression, she has an ace up her sleeve. Pills. The same ones she stole from her father days ago. Amity pulls the white chalky tablets from her pocket and swallows them without water. She pulls a chair close to the bed, but the lump in her throat won't move. This is what I get for trying to be a badass. Amity coughs and makes her way over to the pitcher of water, sitting on a counter by the door. Now the medium is back by Luce's side. Her head is resting on her friend's hand as she imagines a flock of sheep. Amity pushes her imagination further by having the sheep jump over a fence. Each of the animals would have a number, she says aloud. The longer she counts, the weirder things get. Suddenly, Luce is on one side of the fence, dressed as a farmer, and hugging the sheep. Then Basha's there wearing a clown wig and making pancakes, while Ida's flying around in a cauldron cackling like a witch. Before things take a stranger turn, Amity is teleported back to the gray-colored hell. Only this time, she's on the bench beside Luce. Amity wraps her arms around the tortured teen. What's happening? Luce gasps from the unexpected visitor pressing down on her injured side. It hurts. Is this what dying feels like? Because fuck. The blight chews on her bottom lip. She grips the other teen's hand. Luce, wake up. You need to wake up. Luce just seems to ignore Amity and starts to ramble. I was lied to. Death is painful. She grunts. There's so much I haven't done. You're gonna have to do it for me. I haven't eaten at that taco shack by the arcade. I regret not trying it sooner. I haven't finished reading Drink If by Fanfic Porter. I bet they've written so many fics since I've been gone. Amity, there's so many dramatic fics I'm missing out on. The medium smiles sadly at Luce, slowly stroking her hand. Of course you would want to talk about fanfics in a situation like this. Man, this sucks. I'm dying, and I haven't even had my first kiss. Luce pauses and quirks an eyebrow. Unless? Amity blushes, remembering her half-cooked attempt at waking Luce up in the real world. Luce, be serious here for a second. Belos is trying to kill us. You need to wake up. Luce groans in pain and holds her left knee. I was being serious. She pouts. Who's Belos? I feel like I missed a whole character arc. The medium rubs her temples in frustration. I'll explain it when we get out of here. An idea pops into Amity's mind. It helps with lost spirits. Why wouldn't it help now? I need you to be honest with me. Are you afraid of waking up? Luz sputters. What? No. There's a silence between the two, until Luz averts her eyes from her friend. Maybe? Alright. I'm scared I'll never see you again. I kinda like spending time with you. Maybe like seeing you? Amity softly smiles at the dork. Are you trying to say you have a crush on me and that you're scared I'll disappear when you wake up? Luz blushes, reluctantly nodding in agreement. Then Amity does something she wouldn't ever dare to do in a million years. She leans over and kisses Luz. The two hold a tender kiss for a while, until Amity needs to breathe. She smirks at the blushing mess under her, formerly known as Luz Nocera. There's another one waiting for you when you wake up. Amity wakes to the sound of the heart monitor beeping faster than it ever has, and a nurse rushing in to check on the sleeping beauty. The blight jumps out of her seat from something brushing against her ear. When she looks down, it's Luz's hand moving. She waits with bated breath as the other teen's eyes slowly crack open to the bright room. Amity is quickly pushed into a hallway as the team rushes in to assess the miracle coma patient. She takes the time to message Ida the news and updates her own mother of the situation. She touches her lips and giggles. She thinks how cliche it is that Luz woke up with a kiss. She's going to tease her when she gets better of how much this makes Luz a simp. Maybe the two can live out her fantasy of kissing under the broken Whataburger sign at 3 a.m.